Hey everyone, welcome to Fixin' to Create. I am Kristen, the creator of Fixin' to Create, and today I wanted to go through the process of one of the wreaths that I do make as well as sell, and different than our DIY videos. So over the next couple days, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through this particular process, and I hope you guys enjoy watching me create this. For the basic materials that we're going to be using, this is a 18-inch hay wreath. The material itself inside is hay. It's wrapped in plastic. I leave that plastic on so it doesn't make a mess. Depending on what look you're going to get, you can take it off or not. But I leave this on. We're going to be working with a 5.5-inch burlap. And we're going to be cutting it exactly 5.5 inches in length, which I've already done here. This is 2 rolls worth right here. This 18-inch wreath is going to take about 4 rolls of this burlap ribbon. The other supplies we're going to be using are these floral pins. The floral pins help the burlap stay into the hay. If you're using a foam wreath base, which I do also, and I'll be doing another video another time, these work well in there as well. So these just stab right through the burlap into the hay and keeps it nice and secure. And then of course, cutting the burlap, you want to use a really good fabric cutter, either scissors. I do like this roller. It's really nice and handy and easy on the hands. So those are the simple materials to get your base started. Here I've got my Fiskars cutting mat. This is a really hard surface, which is perfect for this rotary blade as I go ahead and cut through the burlap ribbon. So all I'm going to do is make sure that this is actually this is measuring 5 inch. So I want to go ahead, even though the packaging says 5.5, sometimes it can even go up to 6 inch. Even though it's the same packaging and same manufacturer, I guess burlap can shrink. I don't know. So anyway, this particular roll is a 5-inch, you can see here. So I'm going to be cutting these exactly 5 inches long, just using my cutter, cutting along 5 inches increments. They don't have to be 100% exact, but we will want it to be as close as you can because it makes it easier to fold. So that is the simple process of cutting. Like I said, I'm going to be going through about 4 rolls of these. I already went ahead and cut 2. This is a 5.5 inch, but again, it's the same exact manufacturer, but a little bit different size, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just wanted to give you a showing of how I cut the burlap. So here we have our 18-inch hay base frame. This is going to be the front where the magic's going to happen, and here's the back. So the back's going to stay flat, so wherever you're hanging this against a wall, a door, it will stay flat. So we're not going to be doing any embellishments on the back side. However, we want to cover the back side. So the back side again is going to be the same material, the burlap. So I have some of these squares placed on the back already and held in with the floral pins. So my last piece here, I'm just going to go ahead and tuck in here, so I have the consistency all the way around with the seam. I use the seam on the sides and pin the unseamed area in on the top and the bottom around, and this is going to be covered with the other burlap so it won't fray. So all I'm doing here is lining up my pieces the best I can. Again, this is all going to be covered up. This is really the purpose of covering the back side. Just using my floral pin here and poking that in there as I go around. I try to line these up the best I can. That way I don't have too many odds and ends pieces. And then we're going to be going on the inside and doing the exact same thing. Just like that. So now we have our back base already set and ready. At this point, I want to go ahead and think about how a person might be hanging this. If we want to hang it traditionally through a hook around the wreath itself, or if we want to get provided a hanging ribbon, a rope of some kind, we want to go ahead and do that now first before we put anything on the front side. It makes it a lot easier and much more secure for the person that's purchasing this to be able to hang it. All right, so I went ahead and decided I'm going to go ahead and use this really wide, thick rope. that I'm going to create as the handle. If someone chooses to take it off, they'd be able to if they wanted to, because I'm going to be using the floral pins to secure this down. So all I'm going to do is wrap this around, kind of a little bit more of a nautical look, but I'm not, my plan for this one isn't necessarily full nautical. I'm going to go ahead and just like this end, to keep this nice and tight, I'm going to go ahead and add another zip tie to this end, and that way I don't have to worry about any fraying, things coming apart. And then just snip those off. So again, this being the front, I want it to be facing me. And everyone has a different technique, and I use different techniques each time I do this, depending on you know, what material I'm using. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of wrap that around. Make sure these are lined up. And I don't want this really, really tall, so I'm okay with it being a little shorter to snug these down just a bit more. Because my design isn't really to showcase the rope, it's really going to be the rest of the wreath itself. So I'm just going to try to tuck those in under there, twist those around a little bit. I have those nice and even. I'm just going to go ahead and use my clips here. And secure these down. I will come back later and re-secure these more as I get done with the project. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that this has a spot. Spot kind of challenging. All right, so there I have a way of being able to hang it at this point. So now we're going to go ahead and get started with the actual placing and folding of the burlap. All right, so we went ahead and already cut all our burlap pieces. So we're nice and ready. So we just have one large stack and we just keep going and going and going. If you prefer the method of cutting some, placing some, taking a break and cutting some, I've done that method as well. But I prefer just having all my material available and ready. So these are 5.5 by 5.5 inch squares. We've got 2 edges that are already fixed and seamed, and then 2 that are raw. So what we want to do is fold it down into a triangle and then fold your ends in, trying to line that up the best you can. And because burlap is a raw material, it can twist and fold and things like that. And so now we have the beginning of our braided wreath. So you take your 2 pieces together, hold it nice and tight. And the other thing is you want to decide if you want the seams in or out. So you can see a seam on this side and it's on the inside on this one. Being that this is going to be the center piece going around here, I prefer the finished edge to be on the inside, so it helps it prevent it from fraying. So just find a spot where you want to start, kind of lay it down. This is a little awkward, but you get the balance after a while. And then you take your floral pin, and now you're going to be going through your folded piece as well as the piece that you have covering the back. And you just repeat that process all the way around. Now, depending on how far apart you want your pieces, if you're doing multiple colors, alternating colors, which I've done and I'll continue doing, that's gonna depend on, those color schemes are gonna depend on the type of colors you have in the fabric and what look you're looking for. So if you want it farther apart, you want it closer together. I prefer to have it close to right where it comes together as a point. I feel like that is a nice tight piece. And then pin that down. And we're just going to continue that all the way around. And here's why you want to go ahead and make sure you have your design of how you want to hang this already secured onto your wreath, because you can see I'm going to go ahead and go over this and it's going to be covered on this side, so you're not going to see it. If I hadn't had that on, it's only going to be able to be secured from the back side, and it's not as hardy as a secured way of hanging your wreath, especially when the larger sizes, they get really heavy. All right, so now we have our entire center nice and complete. You can see the back. I'll go ahead and trim off some of these edges when I'm done, but you can see this finished edge is nice and finished on the side. So if this is rubbing up against a door or a window or a wall, it's definitely much more secure. It's not frayed, it won't fray, as well as these edges around the wreath protecting the back. So now we'll go ahead and continue that same fold, but in between each one here, and pin those down. All right, so now I have my second row, so you can see it interwinding back and forth between here, and I'll be doing the same thing as the third row as well as the fourth. When I get to the outer rim, I'm going to go ahead and flip the rough edge with the seamed edge, so that seamed edge would then again be on the outer side. So we'll go ahead and do everything that we have left over here, and then we'll have to cut some more. All right, so now we're on to our final and our fifth row. I've taken the fourth roll and I've cut up the fourth roll. So this is gonna finish this out for the end of the whole wreath. So we'll just go ahead and get started on that. Like I said before, we're gonna go ahead and reverse fold it. So we wanna make sure that we have our finished seam on this side versus this side as where we started. So same process, same fold, except when you're folding it, make sure you have your finished edge on the right side. And we're just going to finish that all the way around. All right, and there you have it. We have 5 rows of burlap. This is the French braid burlap wreath. I'll go ahead and trim off a few extra pieces. You can see the edge here secures this on this side. I'll go ahead and add a few more pins inside to hold this nice and rounded and flat. And then go ahead and spray this whole thing with a protective coating. That way the burlap won't fray with the exposure of sun and rain elements and things like that. So thank you so much for watching me today build this wreath. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions and comments, please do that below, and we'll hope to see you soon. Bye.